Hello and welcome to this Trigger tutorial. Today I'm going to show you how to get started using Trigger. So we'll be loading an audio button as if it had been downloaded from iTunes. So we'll be converting it from an M4A into a native WAV file, and then we'll be trimming it, looping it, and I'll talk a little bit about the Trigger user interface as well. So this is how Trigger will look pretty much out of the box, so to speak. You can see that I don't have a license key at the moment inserted. So the first thing we'll do is we'll plug our license key into a USB port on my computer, and we'll tell Trigger to go looking for it, which we can do by clicking on this red warning box, trial warning box in the bottom right hand corner of my cue sheet. So we left click on that, and there Trigger's found the dongle. In normal circumstances, if you leave the dongle attached to your computer, when you start Trigger up, it will automatically go looking for it and unlock the software. Okay, so the first thing we'll do is we'll just load some audio just to make sure we can hear something. Now, Trigger comes supplied with some sample audio files. So if we right click on the cue sheet, we get this pop-up menu, and if we then click add sample audio, we see the various sample audio files that Trigger's supplied with. We'll select some tone for now, and now we have a cue button on our form, and if we left click on the main section of this cue button, we can play it, and there we can hear our tone playing. The next thing we'll do is we'll save this project. We'll call it demo 2 for now, and now we want to load an audio button. So we have a file on a memory stick. I'll insert the memory stick into the computer now. And here's the track. That you can see it's an M4A file, so we'll need to convert that. So we'll drag this into the grid position on my cue sheet where I want the cue button to be, and we'll drop it there. We can close this dialog box down now. And if we were loading a WAV or an AIF, this dialog box wouldn't come up. We would just see the cue button appear. But because this needs to be converted, Trigger's showing this dialog box, and you can see the source file, the path to the source file, also the file name that we can give Trigger. I'll just edit that for now. We'll get rid of that 6. And Trigger's also asking me where it wants to place the resulting converted file. We'll leave that in the default settings for now, and we simply click convert and import, and there we now have a cue button pointing at the converted WAV file. So if we want to play this as we did with our tone, we left click, and that will play the audio, and we left click again to stop it. That's the default behavior, but we can reconfigure that if we so desire. Of course, Trigger can be controlled not just with a mouse, but with touch screen, with MIDI. It could be controlled over local area network using open sound control and a multitude of other ways. We can set up hotkeys so we can fire buttons from our keyboard and such like, but I won't go into that just at this stage. So the left-hand section of the button is called the tag section, and this is used for selecting the button. In the first instance, we left click on it to select a button. We can use the control or shift keys on my keyboard to select ranges or multiple buttons, and by clicking and dragging the button, I can move it around on my cue sheet, and it doesn't matter if the button's playing, we can still move it around. We can swap buttons around, they'll carry on playing. Okay, so now let's set up a little trim point on this, because I want to come in on the chorus, and so we'll select the button by left clicking on the tag section, and we'll go to the button properties button on my toolbar and we'll click on that. Let's just resize our button properties window. You can resize this and move it, and Trigger will remember the position of it. So once, oh, we didn't want to do that. So once you're happy with the position of it, Trigger will remember that, but you can obviously move it around as you see fit. Now, various tabs on the left hand side here, so we can control all the parameters relating to this Q button here. But for today, we're just going to look at the trim and loop. So we'll go to the trim tab, and I know we want to come in roughly about here. So I'll set, by left clicking on my waveform, I can set a rough in point, and then I can click in this trim in area here and set the trim in point on the fly. So we'll play the track through. So that's roughly my trim in point. I can adjust it using these nudge buttons. That'll do for now. And now I'll go to the envelope page because I want to put a little fade in on it. So we'll say 160 milliseconds. We'll have a listen to that. That'll do. I can zoom in on that if I wish to. So for example, I could just reshape the fade in like that. Then I'll go back, then I'll go to the loop page by selecting the loop tab. We'll zoom back out, and we'll set a loop in point and out point on the fly, pretty much as I did with the trim in point, by clicking in this area and then afterwards in that area. So we'll do that right now. That's the in point set. And then we can activate the loop by selecting enable loop here, and we can then we'll just audition this loop, and we can then use these nudge buttons again to adjust it, to fine-tune the loop. Okay, that'll do for now, and we'll click, we'll set up a little stop fade as well. So we'll go to our audio page, and you can see we can dial in a stop fade here. We'll make it 2 seconds, and I kind of like a sort of concave type of shape curve for a fade out. Okay, we'll click done to that, and now we can listen to the net result. And now we're in the loop, and you'll hear the loop go round, and there's our loop, and there's our stop fade. Okay, hope you've found today's tutorial interesting, and join me next time. Bye bye.